Welcome to the Labyrinth. I'm your host, Pratham Pado. My very special guest today is my friend Remo Jacob. He's someone who I know from, I think, 19 years, almost 20 years. I know him since school days, I guess. Yeah, we used to go in the same bus and all. So we have a lot of weird common interests when we sit together and when we sit for a drink. We talk about some of the most controversial things. Of course, because this video will go out in the public, we're going to tone down on the controversial part. You never know.
Of
You never
course.
know what comes out later. So yeah, Master
Fingers
Remo
crossed. Yeah.
Jacob, welcome to
Damn.
the Labyrinth.
Thank you, brother. It is an honor to be here. Finally.
Yeah, dude. Finally, this should have happened a long time ago, no? We
Yeah, we spoke about it when algorithm was there.
Yeah, algorithm was there. Even those days,
Yes.
we were just sitting. Yeah, you know, we've known each other for like what 20 years, and there have been many friends who we've lost touch with.
Yeah.
Okay, how come we managed to remain
I
friends,
have
dude?
no clue. No, I always had this thing.
Uh,
Like there was something off about you. You know that, right?
yeah.
I think that clicked
Hmm.
even across time.
Yeah, and I think different points of time we had different interests, but
Yes.
yeah, and we don't completely agree with each other on some things, but we
That's
can
always the
still,
best part.
yeah,
That keeps the conversation going for us
yeah,
to and fro. It'd be
yeah,
boring if we agreed on everything, man.
yeah, that's true. And a lot of the times there are friends with whom I don't agree with, but they think that I agree with them because I keep quiet because
Oh
I don't want to offend them. With you, I
yeah.
don't care.
I try. That's the good part about this, right? That's why
Mm,
I think we at least speak about so much, like so many different things.
mm,
I don't get to talk about these things to others as well. There's always a barrier after which you
mm,
can't cross. After which you're like, okay, should I tell them? Should I tell them these are my views? Like,
mm.
okay, no, I better not.
Uh,
But with you, it's at least it's that barrier is not really there. I don't know. I've not touched that
mm.
barrier yet. Hopefully, never.
Uh, has there been an instance where you have opened up with someone and they got offended by your views?
A lot of times,
Mm,
like offended. At least, see, what I do is I don't just go out to random people and tell them.
mm,
But I do have a habit of telling, talking about things to people who I don't know all that well, not like good friends, close friends.
mm,
So sometimes they do get offended with certain things that I say, like, especially when you talk about religion, or when you talk about social views, even like government views. So many times, like remember this, the whole when Modi came to power.
mm,
That time it was like I had a friend who was like so offended with what I was telling him. I'm like, bro, I'm not against or anything. I'm just telling what is there. What he's doing doesn't make sense at certain times. So, he has a purpose. He has a, world vision and things like that. Yeah, cool.
mm. This was 2014 time, right?
Yes, 2014 time.
Yeah.
14, not it was 14. It was not 14. This was exactly in 15, 16. That was just
Mm.
when he came and that whole some rules and all he started getting, man. Like, some of the things
All
were
that
weird.
demonetization and GST and stuff.
Yeah. Yes. I was like, people are still, even now, people are, standing by it and defending that. It's
Mm.
weird.
I know. I've seen a lot of people who, during 2014, they were like, "Yes, Modi is going to bring a Vishwaguru and all that." But then, as years passed by, they left that illusion because of
Hmm.
some GST or something, or they realize, okay, this guy is just a puppet. That's the final realization.
Exactly. Uh, that is a scary realization, though.
Mm. But why do you think so many people vote for Modi?
We want a leader.
Mm,
We want someone to tell us what to do. It is. I at least feel it's very deep rooted. Like
mm,
not just. It's just magnified in the sense in the politics right now that the whole country needs one person who makes the choices for them. It's not even like before it was not a centralized government. You had at least states had power.
mm,
Now it is like nothing. Governments just overthrown left and right. So people also people want that central kind of authority, one person. I
mm.
feel that comes from family.
Yeah. I
Not
think,
structure of the
yeah,
family, but
I think many people are frustrated that for so many years nothing was happening in India. Like things were going slow, and they want India to suddenly become developed. And they thought, okay, this guy has a glimmer of hope. They were selling this Gujarat model idea, like look at how developed Gujarat is, even though it's not. But they were
yeah.
selling that idea. So I actually sympathize with people who voted for Modi in 2014. Okay, first time, okay, fine, okay, like people thought,
Yeah,
okay,
I get what you're saying.
yeah, like initially, okay,
This
fine, this guy will build a strong India, okay, corruption will go away. But I don't know, after a few years, when there is obviously evidence, like when he was winning in 2014, there were all these claims, this WhatsApp forward saying that Indian rupee will do very well
oh
against the
man,
dollar, petrol prices will fall down. Now look
so
at the
many
petrol
things.
prices. I mean, when are you going to wake
Nothing.
up?
I don't know where are these people now.
Okay.
Who were talking were literally putting him on a pedestal. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. That's what I think you're going to say. Like what happened in 18, right? Like, the next election, maybe
Yeah,
19.
19 2019. And I think obviously, the religion plays a big role in that. They were now people are like, no, it doesn't matter if the petrol prices go up, we'll still vote for them because there's a larger
The
thing
narrative
going on.
is changed now. It is so cleanly changed. Like how we started, it was development what was being
Mm.
put forward, and then 19, it was all about unity.
Yeah.
Like yeah, religion was the what they were putting it on, basing it on,
Mm.
but it was unity. It was the whole us and them model kind of.
Mm.
We have to stand strong. They are encroaching our place. Now see, they're still putting the same model forward for this election also.
Yeah, I know that same. Yeah, but I don't know if they're ever going to run out of excuses, because I'm pretty sure he'll win again.
Excuses is always be there. There'll be always something to put forward. Again, if nothing goes, we have our always ever reliant Pakistan to help us. Like, yeah, nothing goes. Go to tell like
Mm.
they are bombing us, they're doing some shit and all, and then
Mm.
I'll protect you, kind of. And I
Yeah.
trust Modi as a leader like that, a person
I,
who takes action.
not just Pakistan. I feel like the people here who are opposing Modi, they also in a way help Modi. The opposition parties, the people
Oh,
on the left,
yeah,
they are kind of making it easy for
really.
a lot of people will say, who else to vote? And that's an I obviously have stopped voting.
That
That's a
is like
different.
yeah, the most common. Yeah, everyone, even some people who are like, okay, yeah, bro, like, Modi is not really what I thought him to be. The whole when 19 came, that was the whole thing. Who else? But who do you want me to vote for? Rahul Gandhi? They really ask, and I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
I yeah, that whole no
Mm.
opposition thing is really also helping him a lot.
Mm. So this country is, it's going to hell. It seems like it's going to hell. So forget the country. The country is a lost cause. How can we help ourselves? Speaking selfishly.
Speaking selfishly, that is what I was actually thinking about. We speak selfishly right now, also, right? We are not really thinking about the country individually. But
Mm.
who's thinking about the country? Technically, everyone's just thinking, I have to fill my pockets.
Mm.
And that is why the country is going spiraling. It's just, I told you, it's a magnification effect. So, like, if what I have to do is still sustain, not just thinking about myself and my immediate family. That's what's happening everywhere right now. My immediate family and me should be financially, that too, not in any other way. Especially, they should be financially secure. But does security come only through finance? Like, I don't think so. There are a lot of other ways to be secure, right? What do you say?
Well, I think to certain extent, the materialistic aspirations are necessary because
Correct.
if the country, the community, the place where you grow, if you have good roads and if you are making good money, a lot of the problems will go away. There will be less poverty, less frustration. If you don't have money, you'll be always frustrated. Oh no, I don't have enough savings. What will I do about my kids? What will I do for healthcare and stuff like that? So if the country does well, or if even if your community does well, if your neighborhood does well, it's good. Materialistic things are important, but you can't have live a good materialistic life if you are not a society that has a good culture. I think culture comes first, and if people are starting to make money, but in your neighborhood everyone is a chutia who wants to steal the next person's money, and
Yeah,
then
it
what's the
doesn't work
point?
out.
Yeah, yeah.
There's total insecurity even with money. Like
Mm,
nobody's living in peace there. They don't have that peace of mind that they can sleep rest assured. I won't be murdered and my money robbed. Like the rich money wouldn't live to see it. So yeah, that whole cultural aspect does point. Like I was telling in the terms that money shouldn't be centrally focused in this way. There should be a balance of everything.
mm.
Like balance is basically the key, somewhere at least. That's what I believe. So,
Okay.
like as you said, society or the neighborhood. That's what it is. You start small. You're not even see. You didn't start by saying, "Let's look at just my family." If everyone looks after just their family and hoarding money or at least resources, let's not even tell money, right? If you're accumulating all the resources for you to sustain it until your grandkids or until your, you know, right now it's like that. It's not even grandkids. People are holding like for generations to come. Also, they can aram say live like a normal, satisfied life. So many people have enough money to do
Yeah,
that, and I don't know why they're still like, no, it's not enough. Something can happen, and I understand because that fear comes from where the government is not doing anything to secure its people's most common basic fears, which again might be rooted in this problem of population, right? The government cannot do enough because there are so much people to do. How can they give enough resources for everyone? See, basic medical or house, like safety of having their own house, or being able to earn enough to at least rent a house and still make savings to feed themselves satisfactorily. Basic needs becomes difficult. So somewhere the answer does lie in smaller communities.
yeah. That's why I find it more desirable to have decentralized government. I think right now
Yes.
there's too much dependence on Delhi. Like Delhi can't solve Mangalore's problems. They are a bunch
How?
of incompetent bureaucrats suffering in air pollution. What will they do to
Yes.
improve our lives?
And plus, we are culturally so different.
Yeah,
They don't even understand what a person like in Karnataka is thinking, feeling, being, what he experiences, what is life for him. A whole 24-hour cycle. What happens to him? What does he go through? Their life is so, I don't know, pacey, on the run, and chaotic. It's not that ours is not, but our chaos is totally different from theirs. Just
yeah.
dealing with the city life in itself is the chaos for them, or the whole Delhi atmosphere. Looking at the people in Delhi, if they think of a model to govern us in the same way, this won't work out.
Yeah. I want to share this story. Okay, this Supreme
Mm.
Court is obviously located in Delhi. There they have a fog problem. So in
Mm.
2017, for a brief while,
Mm.
they Activas were manufactured in a way,
Mm.
2017-16 time, that you could not switch off the headlight at all. So my dad bought a Activa in 2017. He can't switch off the headlight because the
Yeah.
entire country during that year had to manufacture scooters where you could not switch off your headlight because there is fog in Delhi, and they wanted to make a rule in Delhi that you can't switch off your headlights. So in Mangalore you obviously
Yeah.
don't need to switch on your headlights during daytime.
Correct. That
They,
becomes so pointless now.
yeah, and you see the detriment, the problems of this now. Because of that, my dad's headlights get spoiled quicker because it's switched on all the time. Environmentally it's bad, so it doesn't make sense.
That is what. That's exactly what is happening. I don't know. It can be said maybe very controversial, but we do need to have a decentralized government or smaller communities that can govern themselves. The
Yeah.
bigger is always it's bad.
Mm.
It's difficult
Mm.
practically. Like it's not happening.
Yeah. It's not controversial at all. Controversial would be something like sedition. To me and to you, even that is not controversial. But to most,
That doesn't even make sense. It's like what? Yeah, that's the whole point of a democracy, right?
Mm.
Like it's the basis of democracy. How can you say you can't talk about your country and say only talk about positive ways or certain ways you cannot tell about the country? I don't know. These laws, man, I don't know what they were on when they made it. Like, honestly, some of the things. Or, yeah, frankly, when I came to know that, how some of the laws were made, it is not even what they were on. They were just so damn lazy that they didn't think of their own country and make the laws efficiently for every different scenario and situation. Like, or at least update the laws on time.
Yeah.
Some of the laws we face are not even like of our generation.
Mm.
We are like still following them. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's the laws again has to be decentralized. Like the Supreme Court, some guys in Delhi in some robe is not going to understand my problems.
Correct. It's just like how you said about the, Activa problem.
Yeah.
The same thing. Just made for one what union territory, one
Mm.
city it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. For a country of 1 billion, they just made one law based on what 1 lakh people or what 1 crore people.
Yeah. So then, then the question comes like, what kind of alternative models should we look at, if not the current republic that we have right now, where all states are paying taxes to the center, and then the center decides what has to happen for 1.3 billion people. What are the alternative models? For example, if you look at Switzerland does not have a capital city. They have a de facto capital city, Bern, which is a capital just for namesake. That's all.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
should we have something like that? Or another solution, which I heard from this activist called I forget the activist name. He said we have to make India
Hmm.
a partyless. So every individual who stands for MP, MLA, you stand it as an independent, not as a party at all. So there are
Yeah.
so many alternatives. So what kind of alternatives do you have in mind?
Uh, I like the idea of this districts that we have.
Mm.
Right. A district at least is much more. Uh, what would you say, a singular type of a body. There is much more unity in a district because at least most of the people in the district are more or less similar. You do not have that much of diversity. Now,
Mm.
our problem is somewhere, that whole diversity, which was our strength, is somewhere becoming our, you know, nail in the foot. It's not letting us do anything. That in itself is becoming a problem. So smaller, not even a state, because the
Mm.
state is still too big. A state in itself is a country in India, right? You look at every other European uh, countries, especially in terms of India, how it is, the whole of Europe should have been a country,
Mm.
and that's how it is. You have Spain, where you have Spanish, everyone is the same. They are culturally, they are the same. So
Mm.
again, for me, the division would still come as to you need to have be speaking a similar type of language. You need to be speaking, like, not speaking. You need to be having certain traditions that are, common to your
Mm.
people, like, irrespective of religion. You have a lot of, different kind of cultural festivals that people celebrate that it is not purely religious, though the roots are religion. Now they have crossed that barrier and they're like, okay, this is a state festival, kind of like how Kerala is a very good example for that, right? You have a lot of state festivals like that people irrespective of religion celebrate. Yeah, so these are the main things, and they should be financially sustainable. That is
Yeah.
one of the, as you said, it is very important. They should be able to take care of all their basic needs through themselves.
Mm.
Definitely, there will be trade, right? Again, when you speak, it's not like they will only have to rely on themselves.
Mm.
Trade
Yeah.
is an important aspect of the whole civilization, not just one small little district. So, yeah, I don't know. That is the
Yeah.
kind of thing that I believe in or feel is a. At least you can try it out, man. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, even I would strongly favor a decentralized government, and there will be more competition also. Like, for example, right now, if I say I don't like this government, what will they say? They'll say, okay, fine, leave India, go to Pakistan, or some absurd, knee-jerk reactions like that.
Yes.
But if the government itself is decentralized, what will they say at the most? They'll say, leave Dakshina Kannada. Fine, and I'll go to some district close by that may have a different kind of government that is more inclined to my style of living. So if Coorg has a better government, that suits my needs, I'll move there. It's easier to move there than
Shit, it's
to
easy.
bloody
Yes.
move to some other country.
Hey, go to
So
Pakistan.
that's again an ego thing, okay? Because these so-called armchair nationalists, their geography is very weak. They think there are only two countries in the planet, India and Pakistan. Like, if I
Yeah.
don't like India, I'll obviously migrate to Sweden or Denmark. Why would I migrate to bloody
No,
Pakistan?
this always best, maybe. Why would you go anywhere like Pakistan? Like, it's the same. It's not very different. I think they feel that there is so much difference in, India and Pakistan. Maybe South India and Pakistan, but northern parts, I really don't see that they're good. I've asked this to so many people, like, whoever have gone abroad, like abroad in the sense to Dubai and all, because there you have that proper, Asian cultural mix. You have people from all around, all the Muslim countries. Right? So you get to meet people from Pakistan also. And I've had friends like who have lived. There was a mutual friend of ours as well who has lived there, and he was telling us like, he was telling me, like, "It's chill, man, nice people. They're like us only, nothing much different." Like, yeah, but people here, I don't think really believe that as a fact. I think people in Pakistan, something, like their lives are very different. Like they go to school, bombs are falling everywhere. I don't know. That's what they think.
Yeah. Another thought that comes to my mind is, okay, you can't really help the people. See, even if it gets decentralized, many people in this country have weird priorities. Okay, they prioritize something like religion or caste or something else more than some issues that might be more important. And sometimes I feel like we are compelled to fail as a group. Like, I don't think that we can help 1 billion people. I don't think we can. So this
I
whole
don't think we
selfish,
should.
yeah, this whole selfish voice in my head says, okay, you know what, forget the people, you help yourself.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
man.
become j- just become wealthy, just become smart. Okay, get things done for yourself. Because see, now obviously we are growing old, and that thought, that practical thought comes to my mind, like, okay, you know what, some of these people, they don't want good things for themselves. The way they're acting and the way they're voting, it's like they want to remain poor, they want to continue fighting. Let them die. How can I help myself? If you can only take the horse to the pond. If the horse doesn't drink
Yeah,
water, what can we do? Like, now
can't
I'm
do
thinking in a
anything
more
about it.
selfish way.
Hmm. Yeah, everyone should think in a selfish way. At some point, we can't just leave ourselves and then do for someone. Only when you are having the resources to help, if you're at least thinking of helping later on. Only when you're sufficient, you can tell somebody else. Like what I'm saying is, you need to have the strength to at least take the horse to the water.
Mm.
Whether it drinks or not is it's not your choice. It's its choice. But if you can, wouldn't you at least take it? If you're seeing that the horse is struggling, you don't know that it wants to drink water or if there's something wrong with its tummy or whatever it is. You're thinking, oh, the horse is doing something, you want to take it. So that basic strength you need to have, right? That is what being selfish, at least to me, would be. But if it, see, always money or power, it tends to corrupt.
Mm.
We've seen this time and again. It's not something that very few people are like, okay, even though I will make some money and I will also see to it that somebody else around me also makes some money, has a way to do that as well, who's not merely immediate family. We do this for immediate family, right? We do this for a random person, like, okay, I like the way he thinks, or I like the way we are as a pair of people think alike, or are the same type of people, or are each other's jigsaws somewhere who fit in each other's, you know,
Mm.
uh, that hole that is there. You have a lot of people that you find like this. The whole idea of the community that is telling would generally be people like this who are not who have a common similarity maybe. But then if you are all similar, like as I was telling before, you have same language, you have same culture, everything. These are not the personal attributes that are similar. These are the common beliefs that people have, right? That time it is easier to have discourse. But then people also need to have something that complements them. If two people are very much alike, after a point there's nothing that really excites them. They get bored. What do we talk about? Everything that I say you will agree on, and everything that you say will I'll agree on. So like, okay, dude, oppose me. Like, tell me something that I can then will, excite my memory or excite my thinking and things like that. So,
Or like in a couple, one person has to be dominant, the other person has to be more subservient. If both are
yes,
dominant or if both are subservient, it won't work.
exactly. That's the perfect way to put it. So, yes, that's how it is. Somewhere that we have to find certain people that fit in certain parts of our life, right?
Mm.
Because I don't know, the whole idea of having a couple, like husband and wife thing, yeah, okay, but you can't just expect your husband or your wife to satisfy all your, uh, you know, mental needs. You have different mental needs, physical needs also, whatever. So, but yeah, mental needs, no,
So
you
if a
cannot
husband and
expect that.
wife cannot fulfill each other's mental needs, or if a couple cannot, then what can they do? You know?
That's why you have different people
Mm,
for different kind of. See, that's why I say mental needs. Like,
mm,
I cannot maybe talk to my wife about the things that I talk to you,
mm,
right?
mm,
So I'm mentally cheating on her, is it? No, it's not like that. I'm fulfilling my mental needs with you. That means
mm,
all these conversations, I have somebody else, so I don't have to push her to be in the same, in some similar wavelength that I am in. Right? She might
mm.
be having so many other characters that I get satisfaction from,
Yeah.
like the whole, our idea of maybe nature itself, or our idea of so many other things. It can be simple things. It doesn't have to be such complicated things about
Mm,
food, right? About how we live in the house, because I'll be living with her my whole life. So
mm,
if I am a person who likes to, sort of not be so organized, and I focus on other things more than being organized, and she has a focus on organization, like she's like a person who keeps everything neat and tidy, it doesn't irritate her. She enjoys doing it. Okay,
mm,
she
mm.
might complain to you and tell you, hey, you have to do this as well. They will, obviously, but they will neatly do everything, and you know that everything is in place. You don't have to do shit about that. Isn't that perfect?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I've really found the better half, whatever they say.
And that's the problem with arranged marriages here, man, and arranged marriage
Mm.
brokers. The aunties, okay, they're like, okay, the guy is fair, we have to look for a fair girl. The guy is tall, we have to look for a tall girl. The guy is well educated. We have to look for a girl also who is like highly educated. Maybe the guy doesn't want a well educated. Maybe the guy wants the exact opposite.
Exactly. They want
Yeah,
someone who's like, okay, I don't want someone who's thinking so much of, as you tell, just physical features, right?
yeah,
A tall or a chubby or a thin girl, they'll always not want the same who's exactly
exactly.
like them. They'll be like, damn, this is another me. Why do I want, I'm not a
Yeah.
narcissist that I want another me, right? Not a lot of people are like that. Most of
If
them are exact opposite.
exactly, why would I want another me? Like it's again like it's mental masturbation. Like, it's like, look,
Yeah,
I can look in the
damn.
mirror if I want.
Yeah, exactly. Why would I want another human person clone of myself? No, I would want someone who's totally, or not even totally, but there has to be places where we don't meet. You know,
Mm,
we are not equal peaks. Like it's saying, like you have a wave. A wave, when two waves match, it is not that they match at the points, the highest points, right? It's again how a jigsaw fits. So you cannot have people who have similar interests. The two same jigsaw pieces just will lie above each other and do nothing.
you
There
should
will not be any completion.
you should start an app called Jigsaw, dude. It's a competitor for Tinder, because see, currently dating
Mm.
apps and all are suck. They actually increase people's
Yes.
anxiety and stress. Okay.
Yeah, really,
Okay.
it's so bad. Like all these apps.
So yeah, we have to be very practical. We have to say, look, if you are only serious, you come here, and
Mm-hmm.
basically you can put all your needs. Okay,
Mm.
whatever, like I want, I am like this. This is what is wrong with me. This is where I am lacking, and we'll try to find another person who can
Yeah,
who can fill that void. Because essentially, when you're
yeah.
trying to find a partner, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to fill a void.
That's it. You're not trying to really, I don't know what the whole Tinder and then all those other apps they have like likes. What do we like to do together? That part is just one part of it where you're like, okay, those are not even friends, man. Those are people who are just hanging out to pass the time. So that's what these apps also are heading to, right? And they're not really helping you. I don't even Shadi.com does that. Like, forget about Tinder.
Mm.
It's the same.
Yeah, Shadi.com and all these matrimonial websites, they're like building, they're an extension of career. They're like, okay, you're a doctor, we'll find another doctor for you. You're 5'9", we'll find a girl who's 5'7". Okay, you look like
Yeah,
this, you're from this caste and this gotra and all that shit. Like, we'll find, like, it's like, that's what it's like. Is
yeah,
they're not finding a
exactly.
jigsaw, they're finding a clone for each other.
For each other, and that. Uh, but you see, when you said about that whole the caste thing, yeah, they do see the same thing. But at least in Hindus, we see certain aspects of astrology also, and there we try to put that as an answer for uh, the whole jigsaw puzzle piece, right?
Mm,
Your these are your perfect fits.
mm,
You have, right. They never tell Aquarius is you should marry an Aquarius. They always tell, oh, this is your perfect partner. So they are
yeah.
doing that jigsaw thing there.
Mm.
But based on what, I'm not sure. You know, how can you validate that?
Yeah, I think
So,
I think modern Hindus are annoying people. Yeah, I'm saying this as a Hindu. I think old school Hindu values had some interesting things. Like Hindus had to satisfy three things. Okay, dharma,
Mhm.
artha, and kama. Dharma is like you have to build an orderly society where people are living harmoniously and stuff like that. Nothing,
Mhm.
nothing is happening right now. Okay, artha is economic prosperity where you help each other, have enough wealth and have take care of each other, whatever. Like in modern
Mhm.
times, if I had to speak, make sure that everyone has a job and healthcare and stuff so that nobody is anxious. And the third thing that we had to fulfill is kama, dharma, artha, and kama. Kama is sexual and romantic desires, reproduction, so that society continues, and so on and so forth. Right now,
Right.
none of those things are happening. The
I
exact
think only the
opposite.
last one is,
Huh?
yeah, only the last one is they are following neatly.
that
Yeah.
that also forcibly, I would say, just for
Oh,
just
yeah.
just because someone else is saying we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not
Oh,
enjoy.
man.
No,
But
no, wait,
yes.
wait. The last, you
uh,
said they're doing the last one, right? See, even in
hmm,
the last one also, we're supposed to do it lovingly, peacefully, and enjoyably. Are we really enjoying it? No.
it is just, there's no connection between the mental and physical self when you're doing it at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't. Well, yeah, but that's for some other day, maybe. Going into the pleasurable sides of things.
Mm,
So yeah, but as you said, these three things are like basic, man. That's why I love Hindu philosophy.
mm,
What they told about life and everything is, man, it's like spot on.
mm.
This is what you should do to live that whole satisfaction, gain that whole moksha on earth, kind of
Yeah.
like. They never told that you'll go somewhere and live happily there. That's
Mm,
why I always feel like my religion, in that sense, is giving people hope. But is that true hope? It's a false
mm,
hope. Right?
mm,
You're telling them, go there and then you'll be happy. No
mm,
one never says, try to find it here. Like, dude, you're alive now. Why don't you just see if you find happiness here and some satisfaction, some, whole fulfillment, manifestation of your life?
mm.
Always go somewhere else. It's
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
a better
The,
life on the other side.
mm. Now you don't masturbate, you'll get permanent bliss over there.
What? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. You might as well, beat yourself up like, here in every way, rather than, wait for doing that for eternity. That would still be boring, right? I don't
Why?
know.
Why boring? You have 72 virgins. After that, what you'll do, I don't know.
Oh man, yeah. So that religion side of it really ruins people's whole aspirations of having no that whole thing where you're talking about how governance works. Governance
Mm,
also comes into this.
mm,
Right here, we are not telling we are surrendering all our rights, our freedoms, and everything else to
mm,
somebody else because we are telling, oh, he'll look after me better than I can, you know,
mm,
consciously look after myself and my people around me.
mm,
That has to come. I'm only say that has to come. That is there somewhere within us. It's just that we have forgotten it. That whole, maybe that circle of life where we are in the bottom side of the circle, not in the top. So, we are feeling that heat of living every day, earning for every day. We are
mm,
into that capitalistic trap somewhere.
mm.
That, that earning for what? I don't know. just to buy things, satisfy that buying need.
But like we can go into capitalism. It'll take a long. We'll go there. We'll go there.
Yeah.
But see, okay, actually, we'll go there only now. So, as
Yes.
yeah, capitalism pros and cons, and the different kinds of capitalism: crony capitalism or free market capitalism. Uh, Even in nature, okay, let's say none of this existed, you will still have to work. In fact, if you live in a commune, right, where there is where like somewhere like Auroville or in some other commune, you will have to work. In fact, in a commune they hate unemployed people, because you get stuff
Hmm.
for free, but you have to work for as many hours as possible, because otherwise what will the commune get? So
Right.
working is
You
something I
become
feel like
unproductive.
you have to do everywhere.
Hmm. That is definitely there.
Mm.
You cannot, or what were you going for? The idea that I need to have build a community or need to have this way of life where I can sit and do nothing.
No, it's not
Yeah.
possible.
Yes, it is not even okay. Let's say if it was possible, would you still want to do that?
Uh, well,
Sit and do
I would.
nothing. You have food, water, everything that you need coming to your feet. You
Hmm,
can walk like okay, maybe even I don't know if you want luxuries or anything. We are not going to luxury. We are just
hmm,
telling you have basic needs.
hmm,
You have time on your hand. You can do whatever you want. You are in nature. You're the nature. There is like I mean to say the whole community is
hmm,
surrounded within their and good mix with the ecosystem. They're living in that way. They have houses and everything. Some facilities also are there, basic facilities. What do you want to do? Do you
I
want to
would
just
do.
sit around and
No, I wouldn't sit
oh,
quietly. I would do things that I find value. I would do work that may not fetch me money, because here I'm not bothered about money, that I actually enjoy, because
hmm,
now I'm free to do anything. My basic needs are met. Now
hmm,
since I can do, I won't sit quietly. I'll do the things that I
hmm,
actually love. Now
right,
see, in the current society that we live, I have to
hmm,
obviously think, okay, I'm doing a podcast. This podcast doesn't generate money. I have to do some other work as well to sustain myself financially, which is what I'm doing now.
hmm.
Like genuinely, I'm doing some other work, and plus I found a job just last week, so I may
Oh,
have
damn.
to, yeah. I found a job.
Congratulations, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Now I have to
Yes.
again. I have to go back to that whole 9 to 5 life. So
Then I don't have to congratulate you now. Then.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you look so sad. Like saying that.
No,
Yeah,
but
fine.
yeah. So in the world that we live in, we have to be concerned about how much money we have in the bank, because if we don't, then we'll end up in the streets, or we may not be able to feed our stomach. And it's not even feeding our stomach. Like, even if I don't work at all, I think I will be able to manage to fetch 2 meals a day. I either by living on someone else's money or by begging, I can find my basic needs will be met. But I think I'm working right now to get slightly more than that. You-
Correct.
so
Yeah.
right now in Mangalore, the average person, why does he work? Does he work to meet his basic needs? Most of us in Mangalore have like middle class people, at least. We have a decent house. We know that we have enough to have at least 2 meals every day. We are working not to meet our basic needs. We are meeting because we want something slightly more. That month end trip to Himachal Pradesh, or maybe we want to buy a new bullet bike, or we want to buy a new car. We're working for that, not for basic needs.
Correct, definitely, and that is a part. Like I cannot say that human beings should be devoid of getting certain senses of pleasure or happiness or satisfaction in materialistic goals. It cannot be only about sitting in nature and pondering upon, or forget even about that. Just being in communities, sitting and painting together, sitting and just doing crafts or talking to each other about your emotions and things like that till the end of life. We'll have to experience things, get that whole thrill, the rush of
Mm.
adrenaline. The different hormones have to flow always. It always can't be just serotonin and dopamine. So, yeah. So, but how far are we going to attain this? Like, what and all are we sacrificing to attain the whole idea of, uh, you know, what I need? My needs, like, if do people really define that? When I look at people when they're going at the whole capitalistic side of it, like why I term it this way is, no, I buy a bike. I buy a two wheeler as a need. I buy it to transport, right? The basic need is nothing but I have to go from point A to point B. But to what extent do I want this vehicle? Like, I don't know to what extent or to what, how fancy do I want this vehicle to be? Right? Do I really need to for it to be a super bike? I'm not
No.
sure. Like having, I discussed this whole thing. Like one of my friends had asked me, like, if you had all the money in the world, you wouldn't you buy a super bike and a super car and like buy your own house and have a big mansion for yourself and all those things, all those resources wouldn't you wish? So like, I don't know that idea, though it seems nice. The only satisfaction here for me is ownership,
Mm.
right? The fact in my head that tells me I am the boss of this place, I am the boss of this vehicle, which I didn't find that idea intriguing. Like, I don't have to have ownership of it. I have to have the experience of it, right? If I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't buy anything. I would rent it out. I would just stay in. I would ride different vehicles one day maybe. As my whole that need to satisfy, like which I wanted to ride, which I was like, oh, fancied, or the kind of places that I would want to stay. I would do that, but not as it needs of as means of owning it. Right now, the problem is coming that everyone wants to own everything, which our planet can honestly not provide. Our planet cannot have whatever 6.7 billion billionaires, right? It does not satisfy that resource.
Yeah. If I had a lot of money, I would use it to reduce my need of money. So if I had a lot of money and if I bought a farm, then my
Hmm.
need for money would automatically go away because I can grow my
Hmm.
own vegetables. I have my own cows and chickens. I don't have to work in some
Hmm.
company in Bangalore. I can just sit at. So that's I think money can give you freedom. Money is not good or bad. I think it's the people
Hmm,
who choose
definitely,
to use it
yes.
properly. If some guy, uses all the money to go and party and he wastes it on
Hmm.
useless things, then he kind of deserves to suffer. If that guy later goes and says, "Oh, capitalism, bro, it's so frustrating," I would say, "No, you
Yeah,
deserve to suffer."
yeah, he should first make sure that he has a way to satisfy that need of his. Like he should be able to earn that much money,
Mm,
right, in some way or the other. But now the thing is, our way of earning money is flawed. Like a person
yeah.
who's growing food is not given enough importance.
Yeah.
Basic things that people should be given paid more for, they're not. So obviously there is a disconnect. A person who's selling the product is getting much paid much more because he's convincing another person to buy it. Why should someone be convinced to buy another product, right? Like, if it should be need based. If I need this product, I want this product, I'll come and buy it. The aggressive sales that we are doing is somewhere hurting us. That whole need to expand, to always every quarter have profits, like double your profits. Always keep your profit stable and still have it's profit, right? It's not a break even that you're talking about. Every month I don't need to break even. Definitely you can't. You need to have profits every month. To what extent are people going? And even you said now you're okay, you're going to have a lot of money, you're going to see a way to sustain that money. You didn't talk about investing it and getting more money out of money. Right? Because that is one way as well. You told you buy a farm. But even then you said, I will buy a farm. I asked, why do you need to buy a farm? You can invest in a farm in the sense of uh, the whole community farming kind of aspect of it.
You will still need to
Invest in
buy
the
the
whole
land.
idea. Now, if somebody has the land, like,
Mm,
okay, fine. If you're saying you're the first person doing it,
mm,
then cool. But what if you're telling there is a cap of how much agricultural land that we have?
mm,
Are you going to say, there is land, there's no agricultural land. So I'm going to buy some land and then convert it to agricultural land. That would make sense. Right. They're again buying it. So I'm talking about when resources are limited. If
mm,
everyone thinks like I want to buy something and then own it doesn't
mm.
make sense. For certain things, we need to know where we don't have to really buy it and then experience it, right? Or maybe even to make money out of it.
No, if, for example, if
Hmm.
imagine every Indian had like 1 or 2 acres of land, that much land is there. Okay,
Yeah.
2, 3 acres of land, he can sustain himself. The problem is that we have moved to cities and we live in like extremely tiny quarters, And now in
Hmm.
in order to sustain, to live in a tiny apartment, you have to work so much. And you
Hmm.
don't have your own source of food, so you have to get food from Swiggy or Zomato, and they sell it to you with a very high markup price. And
Hmm.
you're working even hard to meet their very high markup price. So if you
Hmm.
buy a land of your own, that would essentially give you financial freedom, whether you do it in a community farming or whether you do it through ownership of that land, is kind of irrelevant to me, because if I own a land, I'll be free, I
Hmm.
don't have to work.
Okay, so we are again coming back to the point of not having to do anything.
No, see, I obviously have to do a lot of things. Buying a
Yeah.
land
So
is
what I'm asking is, you wouldn't would you want to work on that land and grow your own things,
okay.
or
So
would you want to hire somebody to do it and you'd sit quietly in that part?
if see, if labor is available and if
Hmm.
there's another person who wants to work, now if I
Hmm.
say no, I want to become self sufficient and I am
Hmm.
going to do all the work, that would be stupid, because now if I hire that guy who is going to do a better job than me, and if I can use his labor and if I can make money, he is also getting a job. And in the work,
Hmm.
in the time that I have for myself, if I can do something else like a creative endeavor, that's another way of
Hmm.
me to make money and to sustain myself, and to also live a high quality life, enjoy my life. And
Hmm.
that would make my life more meaningful than going after self sustainability. What is self sustainability? Saying that, oh, I'll do all the work by myself. And then what? If another guy
Hmm.
is there who can do a better work than me, give him the work, I'll do something else.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying about self-sustainability as in you doing everything by yourself.
Mm.
Right. That's just saying I don't believe anybody else can be better than me at something. It's again not a very good idea to have in your head. It's right. You're doing something much more sensible here. You're saying I will do something that I'm good at. I have this land. So there is another person coming and he will work on this land, and that's what. Now my question comes there, as you said, the whole ownership. Now this person who comes to you to work, he doesn't own your land,
Mm.
right? He does not have the money to own your land, but he has the skills to do a much better job at your land than you itself, and you
Mm.
keep him as your employee. We are again coming to the whole, corporate hierarchy, where you will say that, see, you're my this one servant, like you're working in my house or in my land, and do that work. You'll get some peanuts for that, and I'll keep the major chunk of it, and I'll be happy, doing whatever I like, enjoying my life. That again brings in inequality, right? How does that work?
Okay. Why is inequality a bad thing? Isn't inequality a good thing to a certain extent? I think I look at inequality the same way I look at cholesterol. For all these years, people were demonizing cholesterol. Cholesterol is bad, but now we are realizing that cholesterol is not bad. Even if it goes up slightly, it's not bad. Only if you have excessively high cholesterol, then you're screwed. But if saying that a person should not have cholesterol is also bad, because only a dead body does not have cholesterol. Similarly, only a dead society does not have inequality. Why do we watch
Hmm.
Olympics? Why do we watch boxing matches? Why do we look at sports? Because we celebrate inequality. One guy is better than the other, we give a gold medal to that guy. In society, everything that has happened is because of inequality. Every progress that
Correct.
has happened is because of inequality. Roads have been paved, cities have been constructed, we have laptop, we have technology, and everything because of inequality. And without this inequality and without this capitalism, there would be no motivation for human beings at all.
Okay, you're talking about motivation in terms of inequality, right? Uh, let's say you just spoke about cholesterol. I would consider inequality also in the similar terms. Now, it's not that cholesterol is bad; it's the type of cholesterol that is bad to you.
Mm,
Right? There are different types of cholesterols, of which certain levels, if they are high and the others are low, it is bad. You
mm,
need to have somewhere a balance of them all.
mm.
Right? You cannot let any one type go too high, other type go down. So in with inequality also, I would feel it's the same way. Inequality in what terms? Right? Would you say inequality is only financial?
I don't mind financial inequality. I don't mind inequality in multiple areas, including financial. I
Okay.
think, see, there are, if let's say, let's put vice versa. Let's say someone else is
Hmm.
owning the land, okay,
Mm.
and I am very good at farming, I would want to work in that farm, and I would want him to do something else with his life so that I have a job doing that farm. And he and you said paying peanuts. Now if I don't work in that farm, I don't have a source of income, so I should be in a way grateful. And I it's not just about money, I get a lot of life skills, I get a source of income, I get some dignity from working there, which I wouldn't get otherwise.
Mm. Okay, that is also fine. Let's say the person gets dignity, but now he's working in your farm. He gets joy in doing that. Like you're working in that farm, you're getting joy doing that, right? Uh, that in itself is your motivation.
Mm.
The whole part of you working, getting that whole satisfaction in life. You're saying after working in the farm, he will have something else to do that gives him satisfaction. Is that what you're telling?
No, see, forget the joy aspect also. Okay,
Hmm.
just now if I was that guy, if I was the farmer, I would be happy
Hmm.
to work there because I'm getting some kind of money. I'm getting some, not just money, but even the dignity of having a work. Now if I say, see, I'm working in this farm, I want equal shares of this, I want that wouldn't make sense. That the owner can just say, please go work somewhere else. Now let's take two societies, one is more capitalistic, one is more communist socialist. Where do you think
Hmm.
people would move, from communist to the capitalist society, or from the capitalist to the communist society? Do you think uh, people would still move to the capitalist society despite inequalities? Why
Yes.
are they doing, why are capitalist societies doing so well?
As you said, it is the whole competition aspect, right? The competition makes the person try to achieve more.
Mm.
But right now we are only competing for one kind of thing, is what I feel. The monetary competition. You have to compete for everything else, right? For a better life as well. Not only in terms of monetary senses, like even in terms of your physical health, your mental health, your relationships with your, your social life, and everything comes to point when you're talking about like how well you're living, how you're competing to be better in every aspect.
Mm.
Like it's like saying you can't even just think about your mental health and like not have take care of your body. Right, that's also going to be the same. Like you, and in the end, you're gonna earn like waste money for that. That is why we are so adamant of getting a lot of money so that whenever any other problem comes, right? Okay, for that we'll have the money to safeguard ourselves. The security factor comes from there. But that security factor can also come from the sense of a community that you have that will also share in taking care of you, or whatever happens, you're taken care of in a certain way. And going towards the whole, the building the roads or doing like progress basically or development basically. Uh, you'd say it is purely capitalistic that we need to earn more money that we are doing this. Like we are going back to how politics works right now in our country. They are just building a road because next year they get elected for, they have to come in power. I wouldn't want that kind of development. It should be a need-based development where, okay, you need something, we have to be progressive and we have to be like always not stagnant, saying, okay, I have my basic needs set, then I'm good. There are so many things to explore, right? We still don't know so much about so many things. Like even the food that we eat, is it the best that food that we can make? Is it the best? Forget about best food. Is it the best yield that we can get? Going back to the farmer, his motivation in life should also be, uh, you know, getting the best out of his land. That is what makes it gives him joy. If he's that kind of puzzle who tells that I am, or the puzzle piece that I'm talking about, who tells that farming gives me joy. I like looking at these plants grow. I like putting water there. I like
Mm.
growing them, having a good yield. Not only just the growing part of it. I'm I compete with myself to make it make a better yield every year. I literally take down how much I've grown every year, and I try to compete with myself or even with the other person's farm and telling, oh, that guy's grown this much, I'm also going to grow a lot of things. But that will help the society. You're not going to tell right now what's happening. If we see the whole inflation part of it, what happens is the person in the next farm puts tomatoes, I put tomatoes. Like thinking that's the best, like okay. They don't know what has to be put. They don't know what has to be grown, what the market, because of the disconnect between between the farmer and the market. So if he's growing something that is also giving him money and also like the joy of growing it, why wouldn't he be satisfied? He that whole he'll also be getting dignity, saying yes, I'm working in this person's farm as well. I'm doing so good. The dignity is that in itself that wow, I'm doing so awesome. The whole competition side or the equality side that I am mentioning is right now in our country, the inequality, sorry, that right now in our country, the inequality of the gap is so wide. Do we really need such a wide gap? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
we don't.
It's honestly, I don't see the point. Like, we know that we can, right now also, if Ambani gives away half of his wealth, he can satisfy like so many things, like not just give money. See, I don't agree that you should give money to the people,
Mm.
but make resources, create resources. Because how are you getting money? You're getting money by draining the resources. That's it. There's nothing more. Somewhere down the line, some resources are getting natural resources are getting devoid of their things, or even human resources you're extracting. It's all that. Why do you need to extract? I don't think that is necessary. Capitalism is going to that, you know, I have to satisfy me. And that one
Yeah.
person is trying to extract it. But yeah, maybe we need to have a more subtle capitalism where you're not so aggressive
Mm.
with your needs.
A
It's
more
good to compete.
yeah, a more decentralized capitalism. Even capitalism needs to be decentralized. I'm
Yes,
not
maybe that
against
is it.
capitalism, because it some level of inequality, some level of competition leads to innovation and technological
Sure.
improvements. It gives a lot of people job. But again, these few handful of corporations, when they're behaving like governments essentially. They, first of all, they bought the governments, and they are lobbying so much. They're lobbying for the laws. They decide what kind of roads to be built, what kind of railway tracks are to be laid. So
Where it has to lead to,
yeah,
where it has to
exactly.
be built.
So yeah, even I'm okay with capitalism, but even capitalism should be decentralized. It shouldn't be just a handful of companies. Instead of having four companies, we should have like 200 companies competing with each other. Let them compete with each other. They like competing, right? Let
Mhm.
the consumers, or let the layman who doesn't like competing, let us get the fruits of their competition. Since they love competing with each other, let them. We'll
And
get
the
the fruit.
freedom of choice.
Yeah.
We need to have a freedom of choice, saying I can choose whatever I want to. And uh, I don't know if this is even it's an idealistic idea where right now how do we market? We None of the marketing is basically true to a certain extent. Right? There is some sort of falsehood that they try to, not falsehood, at least somewhere where they're trying to persuade us into buying their product. They use some of the most insidious tactics, I would say. That is not nice. Like, the way that they are pushing people to buy their products. I know they can't, I don't know why they can't be honest.
Mm.
To a certain extent, at least, where they're saying, okay, this is the product. If you want to buy it, you can buy it.
Yeah.
I would certainly see people buying a lot of different types of products. Nobody will
Mm.
really want to. When you're in a smaller society,
Mm.
I agree that they tell like, okay, he's now why I would buy some product. Somebody else would test it and tell, oh, this is really good, a really good product, right? But you have differences in how a person needs what is a personal need of a product.
Mm.
There you still can have marketing that you do not do, or you don't need to always compete in the same type of product. There are so many different types of products you can make.
Yeah.
So,
And yeah, in here in Mangalore, we have a very shitty version of capitalism, where see, even beyond capitalism, what I really appreciate is beauty and architecture. I like Mangalorean old school architecture, the red roof tiles and the old style windows. Here in the we have suddenly I'm seeing billboards everywhere, dude. It's
oh man,
disgusting. Like I can't walk
Cyber
on the
Complex is covered with billboards, no?
yeah.
Oh my god,
It's
I mean
a
Cyber Complex, yeah.
it's they've changed the name. I think Cyber Complex is
Oh, yeah.
something else now. You
Damn.
can't walk in
Yeah.
a road and just look at the sky and say, "Wow, beautiful." If you raise your head, you'll see some 50% discount buy saris here, or some shitty billboard like that. So capitalism again should be hand in hand with what society wants as a whole. If we are better off with nice buildings with nice architecture that is also sustainable, uh, and in India we don't even have one single planned city. If you there are so many architecture channels on YouTube. If you look at a
Mm-hmm.
city like Barcelona, or if you, not just Barcelona, any city even in the UK, for example, like Manchester, they're so well
Mm-hmm.
planned. Like in one street, all buildings have to be 4 floors, not 6 floors, not 2 floors. Here you look at the city, man. There'll be one Gudangadi next to Gudangadi. There'll be one 20. It's like badly trimmed pubic hair. That's what I call
Yeah.
it. It's it doesn't make
Oh
sense.
yeah.
And right next to that, you will see 2 3 billboards. Right next to that, one kachda, one garbage bin. It doesn't make sense.
It
We don't
really
have good
does not.
planning here at all.
The planning comes after the explosion of whatever it is, the population, the development, or you know the whole, the companies, industries come after that. They're like, oh yeah, I think we need to build a road here. There are so many companies. Yeah, so that's how it happens. And then they're like, okay, now the companies have already encroached all the space for the road, so only one vehicle can pass now. It's basically like that. Like, so that
Yeah.
whole planning thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I, I don't entirely blame the companies. Okay, I mean partially I blame the companies, but I also blame a terrible culture of our people and the governance. If you look at a place like Bangalore, I would solely blame it on an organization like BBMP. If you look at all these
Hmm.
tech parks, inside the tech parks, the roads are very good. So you kind of have
Correct.
to applaud the companies for maintaining. Those are all private roads,
Hmm.
private security guards. They have done a good job, nice lawns and all that. You come outside, government made roads sucks, which means we have to acknowledge to a certain extent that something is privatized, it is more efficient. Something that is
Hmm.
run by government is inefficient. There is red tape, there is bureaucracy. People want to blame fingers at each other, and that's why right outside the tech parks we'll have roads full of potholes. Inside tech parks you have like Sweden like roads.
Yeah, but then again, if you see, like, we will blame our government because again, it is a you know government that is taking care of so many people. Even if you talk about decentralized state government, the state government can't do shit, man. It's too big, the state in itself, for them to really be doing anything. Even now, US also has the same problem. It's just that they provide better facilities in certain terms because they are better financially, more secure as a country, and they do not have such population demands that they have to satisfy. Ours is purely a population based, you know, resource division that we do. We cannot think about any resource without think about the scale of the resource that we need.
Yeah.
So that whole privatization also, if it happens as a decentralized in a
Hmm.
decentralized economy, then yeah, it does make sense.
Hmm.
Like, I don't see. Now again, for me, that whole idea of privatization of government, it is still telling getting an entity to rule over you. If it
Hmm.
comes to that, then I don't see what is the point. It should just be an agreement where they are providing certain things to us.
Hmm.
In return, when we are like, okay, you're providing this, we are paying whatever for the resource based according to that resource. Not too much in excess, enough for you to also help me source that resource, and enough for me to also tell you, okay, this is a this amount is for you to ensure that you make give this service every time with the same level of commitment and accuracy and things like that. Right? So I don't know the whole. When you say I would rather have a private organization rule over me, I don't see the difference.
See, when I say a private organization, I'm not saying someone like Tata or Adani should have the access to our roads. Like, I don't mind the road outside my house being
Mhm.
privatized, but not but I would want that private company to be something like Nantur private company, some company that is local. And I know I
Mhm.
would have access to the CEO of that company, where the people of our
Mhm.
neighborhood would have access to the company. For example, take an apartment. Okay, the roads inside the apartment is managed by a private company, but it's not managed by some big company, by some local contractor. And every resident
Mhm.
in that apartment will have access to that company. If something is wrong in that road, they can approach that company and say, boss, repair it immediately. I've paid you, why are you not doing it? So I don't
Mhm.
mind the roads being privatized, but again, it has to happen in a decentralized way. The ultimate solution is not who runs it, whether it doesn't matter if a government runs it or a private corporation. It has to be someone small, local, and decentralized.
Correct. And it has to be someone who understands or looks outside the whole concept of ownership, saying, "Oh, I own this; it is mine. You don't have any say in it." That authoritarian ownership, at least, right? Who kind of really does understand what democracy really means. Like, we have a flawed system of democracy, right? In the name of it's a lie in the name of democracy, right? They're just feeding people the idea of democracy, not the true nature of it.
But again, going on another tangent, is democracy the best form of government? I was watching this Tamil movie. I don't remember the name, and
Mm.
the guy in that movie is stuck in an elevator because the electricity goes off, and he starts insulting democracy. This is all democracy's fault. When they have to find a new kind of pharmaceutical drug or a vaccine or whatever, it's
Mhm.
just two scientists inside a lab doing all the research. Hundreds of people don't come and vote which chemical has to go in that drug, which is why they are able to find the best cure for a disease. But here, because hundreds of people are giving their opinions, not hundreds, crores of people, maybe that's the
Mm.
reason why democracy is not working. Should we be really be listening to each and every person who we know that some of them are not really smart people?
Some opinions are really not meant to be taken. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but the whole that if you go back to that conversation, we are talking about two, scientists sitting in a lab, right? When you're talking about two scientists sitting in a lab, the only people that have to be who should be telling them what to do or what not to do are people who are in their same level of educational level, right? Or intellectual. I wouldn't even say education, intellectual level, right? They are also scientists who understand the practice and the theory of what the other two people are doing in that lab. And because somebody has to tell them if they're doing right or wrong, everyone needs that. But it's about the same thing that we do. We are famous at doing this, right? We ask cricketer after he comes from the match, okay, this, that, and all. And what about how do you think is the political one? Who do you think people should vote for? They're like, what? Why should he be asked about, or an actor for that matter, asked about his opinions about politics and say he should justify it, like why he's saying that and all that? Man, it doesn't make sense. So that part of it, I think, Socrates, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
was like very, uh, though he was like for democracy, he was like, that is not a system that should be brought into the fray where people are, or it shouldn't be a system that has to be followed unless and until it is not foolproof, technically, right? Because you cannot have people who do not uh, really think about anything other than their existence and themselves. How can that person think about anything but even the whole small community? How can he have a say in the community when he's not even had any idea of what that community is? So the whole voting, everyone voting also doesn't make sense. I really don't think everyone should be given the, that precious thing that you can vote. It's a very precious thing, right? So only people they have to have some test maybe that they're like, okay, only you qualify to vote, then you can. You have a certain idea of what your country is or what your small little community is, only then you can vote.
Yeah.
Right now, they have no clue, right?
Yeah. I exactly. So elections are nice on a small scale. Like going back to that whole apartment thing. If the residents of the apartment come and vote and decide what paint has to be put on the flat, I'll be like, okay, that's great. But can an entire country decide on something? And do I want that to happen? For example, if my doctor says, "Hey, something is wrong with your kidney," only I and my doctor get to decide if I'm going to have a kidney transplant or not. If some
Yes.
100 people on the neighborhood get to decide, if they get to vote if I'm getting a kidney transplant or not, that wouldn't be fair to me. But elections and governance affects each and it affects me. So sometimes I
Hmm.
ask, why should all these people get to vote on why how the roads have to be built, on which I'm going to go? uh, because these are not the smartest people, frankly speaking.
Correct. And what do you need in like now we talk about governance. Uh, Governance is only about administration,
Mm.
right? You're talking about how we are going to provide facilities to everybody, to in a very uh, equal way, so that everyone can use and obtain, and whatever money they pay for, they're like the taxes that they're paying for. they're getting whatever the benefits that they are going to get from. So like here when you're talking about it, I don't understand you know why we have this whole like so many people coming and saying why we have to get their opinion about what they're trying to say is it's irrelevant. Like only certain people should be given that right to have a say in certain things.
Mm. Yeah.
And larger, that's what when you have a decentralized government, that's what happens. Like you have a smaller community. That
Mm.
community should be allowed to talk about itself and make decisions for itself.
Mm.
That makes much more sense.
Okay. So enough about this whole government thing. A part of me is extremely pessimistic. These are whatever we discussed so far. These are
Mm.
some good ideas. These are ideal, I would say. Like if some of these ideas are executed, I think the world would be slightly better off, if not way
Mm.
better off. But another part of me says, okay, you know what? Nothing is going to happen. You kind of have to give up and focus on yourself, because if like someone like Jordan Peterson would say, if clean your house first, then you worry about the world's problems. So right now I'm at a stage where I think, okay, you know what, these are my opinions, these are my ideals, but there's not a lot I can do to help this country or to help make the world a better place. And I don't know if I'm even willing to do that, but I am willing to improve myself. I
Mm.
want to be a better person. And
Right.
what are your thoughts on that? What can we do to improve ourselves? Forget the world, dude.
To improve ourselves is that whole again. The, what do we find satisfaction in? What gives us the whole idea of peace?
Mm.
Right? Basically, you need to have certain basics that you need to start thinking about this. Right? You need to be in good physical shape. You need to have something like okay, like my physical, not even physical shape, like body wise. I need to be health wise also. Nothing is happening to me. Right now, we are maybe in a prime. But even then, you should safeguard in certain ways, get enough nutrition,
Mm.
then think about okay, mentally, am I getting all the things? You need mental resources as well. Just like how your body needs food, your mind also needs food in different ways. So, are you getting that? And again, are you getting that whole society feeling? Like a human being cannot live on his own. For him to be, for me, even if I'm saying like I'm being selfish and being happy about it, I will still need people around me. I can't just live uh, in a house alone, right?
Mm.
Though I do agree that a lot of people might find that as a sense of happiness. They do. A lot of people do. But I don't know if they would be willing or wanting to do that their entire life, right? Without contact with another person. You still need that. Your expression, right? A source of expression is also very important. If either it is with a person or with yourself, you need to express yourself. Some people they draw, they sing, they dance, they even talk to each other, like what we are doing. This is again an expression of each other, right? So things like that. These are the things that really put a person, at least I feel, is needed for him to have that whole happy life, fulfilled life.
Yeah, man. Yeah. um you know Huh. Yeah, I'm actually lost right now. So many different thoughts are coming into my head. Every time we meet, even the past 2 3 times that we met, you keep saying that every individual is sort of like a jigsaw piece. This is one thing that you keep saying. Yeah, what do you mean by that exactly? A jigsaw piece.
Everyone is looking for some sort of satisfaction, right?
Mm.
In different terms. That is, like, we have our again going back to the mental, physical, or uh, social satisfactions that we see. So when we talk about satisfaction, now right now what we are doing is we are trying to beat it out of different types of people.
Mm.
We are like, okay, the whole even the wife that you have or the friends that you have, you are hoping that your friends will satisfy your every need
Mm.
or certain needs, which need not be. You can have n types of needs that can somewhere go range from somewhere where society is telling like, oh wow, this is a very beautiful quality that he has. His need might be to gain attention, right? Giving attention gives that person happiness. He's very, very satisfied once he gets people telling like, "Oh wow, this is so nice about you. Oh, you're something is good about you." For some other people, that might not be. It's about just attaining that whole, their skill level or their way of expression. Now, even if they are doing that, they need, uh, if it is something that they like, painting for that matter, I don't see how the whole jigsaw goes there. But even then, like as far as I know, every artist needs a source of inspiration. That in itself can be a jigsaw who's giving you that source of inspiration. In terms of society or in terms of a person in society, I would say he has like sexually at least the whole now when I let's go to the whole BDSM part, right? That's
Mm,
the best way I find the whole jigsaw piece where I can explain.
mm,
Well, people who are submissive and people who are dominant, I guess, they find each other to gain that whole sense of nobody is getting traumatized there in any way.
mm,
Probably, hopefully, at least, because I wouldn't make that as a statement. But they are people who enjoy what they are doing. They are
mm,
not being forced into it, or they are not trying to gain that sense of satisfaction through somebody else who does not agree with that. They're forcing it out of them. So many of our families we try to do that, right? Even now, I don't see how in families it would fit, because now you don't choose your parents, right? You there is that's one point in your life which you have no say in that. You automatically have to love your parents irrespective, right? But there we somewhere forget that okay, we cannot be a jigsaw there, because
yeah,
you don't
there.
know what qualities. You don't know
Mm,
what qualities your parents have. Sometimes you might not agree with so many qualities of your parents.
mm,
You might be like, no, this is not my, my principles do not agree with this. So there do you say like, no, I want to find my jigsaw? No. But everywhere
mm,
else you have a choice with your friends, the things that they like and the things that they don't. You
mm,
always have a choice as to say where I fit in society. I say we are a jigsaw because as a whole, I look at every human being as a jigsaw piece, like a big puzzle around this world. We're
mm,
just waiting. We're just not waiting. We're just searching for the place where we fit in the best,
mm,
where we don't have too much negativity, where we don't have too much positivity.
mm.
You know, so that is what I at least have an idea of the jigsaw. I hope somewhere that comes to fruition.
Yeah,
I
that
don't know
makes.
how there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I, what you said was practical. Also, a lot of people look at parents like, why are my parents not like me? They're not meant to be like you. And the vice versa is worse. People don't have a lot of expectations from their parents, but the vice versa is very true. Parents have a lot of
Yes, yes.
expectation from their kids. They want their kids to be their jigsaw puzzle. They can't. Okay,
They
at least
cannot. They should
yeah.
not.
See, parents to to a certain age, maybe till 16 or 18, you can tell your kids do this, do that, go to church, go to temple, get good marks or whatever. But in Indian parents, even at the age of 30, they tell their kids do this, do that, and that ruins so many relationships with. And finally, the kids will abandon their parents. That will become another issue. Oh, this guy has abandoned his mother. What is he supposed to do? He got fed up of his mother. If you beat
Yeah,
your
after a
child,
point,
yeah,
it just cracks, man. People crack after a point, and then the society will term that person as a not a a good member of the society because he thought enough of this bullshit. Let's see what's wrong in that. The wrong part is where the parents would want the kid to always fall in a line that was drawn to them,
mm,
right? It's not even a line that they are drawing to the kids. They are sticking to some line that somebody, maybe their parents drew for them. And they're like, okay, my parents did this to me. I'm going to do this to you. This is the same thing that we have, like even in college, we have seniors and juniors, what they do. Our seniors did to us, so we are going to do.
uh, uh,
The same
I
philosophy
know.
that goes
Yeah.
everywhere.
So that's what I had this guy, this guest called Jayant Bandari. Okay, he absolutely hates India. Okay, he is born and raised up in India. He went abroad. He read a lot of Western philosophy and stuff like that, and he's like, Western culture is so good. Indian culture doesn't make any sense. He came back to India, and he ran a bunch of successful businesses. But he said it's
Mhm.
so hard to run a business without bribing a bureaucrat. Everyone is so corrupt here. Wait, we
Mhm.
were talking about something, right? Yeah, senior junior thing. So he
Yes.
says that the reason why Indian culture is very difficult to reform is because Indians get a kick out of punishing the weaklings. In
Mhm.
college, take that senior junior example. Ideally, when a senior rags a junior, what should the junior do? He should take his anger back on the senior, not on the next generation of weaklings. Here in India,
Not
that's
wait
what
for
the
his turn.
yeah, it's like this lady gets tortured by her mother-in-law. What does she do? She waits for her son to get married so that she can torture the next generation of daughter-in-law.
Exactly. Exactly. So that is what we follow, right? We follow a system where we are saying, okay, now if I've got something, experienced something, I'll always give it to somebody else or pass down that whole again the whole hierarchy of things. We don't see as everybody as equal. Do we really look at our kids as equal to us?
I
Do our
mean,
parents look at us as equal to them? I don't think so. They still look at us as kids, which is good. Like, physically, when you're looking at them like that, it makes sense. But we should understand how people grow mentally,
mm,
right? We are still looking at our parents are still looking at us as physically as kids, or they think of us as kids. It is fine somewhere.
mm,
But are they thinking that we are incapable of making decisions and choices?
yeah.
Even if
After
they do,
mm,
even if they do, they should keep those things to themselves and not let it overflow on us. Those insecurities. It's their insecurity, right? They think that, oh, something bad will happen to my kid. Oh, my kid might not be able to. The society is too cruel, right?
mm,
It's their fears that, after all, let them to keep us
mm.
in chains and bind us like this.
Yeah,
That
there's a
was.
balance. Like if a parent says his child don't do drugs or wear a helmet while going out for a ride or whatever, to that extent is
Mhm.
fine. But if they say something like you have to choose this stream in college or you have to marry this girl, eh, that's
Yeah,
crossing the line. You should
that makes
Parents should
sense.
know
Yeah.
where the line is drawn and they shouldn't cross it.
Correct, definitely. And it's also about how we, not even we are talking about parents, or we're talking about that junior who gets ragged and who's waiting for his opportunity for the next time. You should be thinking like, okay, do I really want to, satisfy this void that I felt that I could not stand up to somebody else by making somebody else feel bad about himself? This person is just waiting for somebody else to give him the answer, saying that, say, for example, we take an instant that the junior who's ragged now is going and ragging the next generation of juniors. And say the next generation is such that they're like, they don't take shit from anyone. They're like, who the fuck are you? And this guy has some people, like, the whole group of bullies who are like, yeah, we have to bully this other guy, he has to agree. And he tries to screw with him in some ways that they cannot do. They are so lost now, saying, wow, I didn't stand up to that guy. I couldn't inflict the pain on this guy. Where am I now? I'm so stuck until I, put out my frustrations of being bullied on something at least. I'm lost. This person basically needs that help, saying that, okay, someone has to tell him, or someone has to really get him out of that trauma that he has got into, that generational trauma that the bullies or the parents they get into, and say that, okay, you don't need to do that. You can still talk to the person who bullied you and say, look, see, this is what happened, and somewhere make peace with it, even if you cannot say it to them,
Yeah.
right?
A lot of Indians have become so conscious about generational trauma that they've decided not to have kids.
Yeah, that is even more. I don't understand how that is.
Mm,
Like, okay, that's if it is something that is, you're talking about planning a family and telling that, okay, I'm making a decision to not have kids. That's purely understandable. It's your choice, right?
mm,
You say I don't want to have kids. I don't see what's wrong in that.
mm,
I really don't see what's wrong in that. Why, when I ask you, if you have an answer that is not, like, oh, like, it's all suffering. I don't want to bring a kid into the
yeah.
suffering world. What? Why are you making a choice for your kid? Like, for some sperm, you're automatically making that choice and saying this should not happen to him. Like, you might as well let something experience that.
Mm.
I
I
don't see why.
Yeah,
Yeah, tell
the
me.
antinatalism is a growing movement in India. These people, they call themselves antinatalists. They are against reproduction. They don't want to have kids, and they try to promote the idea of not having kids. I'm friends with a couple of them too. Okay, in fact, there's this guy called Nihilanand. He's, I think, the most famous anti-natalist in India. I've got him on the show twice. I don't agree with everything he says. I he sued his own parents for giving birth to him. Okay, this he did as a joke. Okay,
Right.
The-
That's,
he
but
sued
damn, even
his,
then,
yeah, he sued his own parents for giving birth to him. He's like, life is, they didn't give birth to me with my consent. Okay.
what? Wow.
So,
Okay, fine. That's new.
yeah, I mean, see, logically, maybe he makes sense, but the question
How? No.
arises,
Okay, fine. Let's
yeah,
carry on. Yeah, well, let's go there some
yeah.
other time. How? But yeah, tell me.
If you ask how and all, he will say, yeah, look, I get it that they can't ask me for my consent, but he's the decision that he took was purely to motivate more and more Indians to not have kids. He shares a lot of these videos of people stuck in Mumbai traffic, and he says, look at how people are living. Is this how you want to live? Why do you want to bring a child to this planet? So, the reason why I got him on my channel twice, that too, is because to a certain extent I can relate to him. The second time I got him, no, during that week, no, I was purely frustrated with my relatives. I was having a fight with my, at house, and I thought, okay, this is the guy who I want to talk to right now, because whenever I'm
Mhm.
frustrated with this, with society, right, I feel like talking to him, because he says, don't have kids, no, don't start a family. But now that I've had time to reflect on antinatalism and his stance on why you should not have kids because it's bad for the environment, or because life is suffering and this and that, now I think, okay, he has identified the problems beautifully, but the solution is something else. If you are worried about the environment, there are other ways to help the environment. If you are worried about life is suffering, you can make life enjoyable for your child. You don't have to be a terrible parent. There is a root cause which you can find solution to. Simply saying, I won't bring a child, that is you just escaping the problem rather than finding a solution.
Right. This is a form of escapism rather than a solution to a problem. Like, okay, it is a solution, but what type of solution are you telling? You're telling like the problem in itself should not exist.
Hmm.
Right? That's your solution to the problem.
Yeah, it's like, I have a pain in my finger, so let me cut off my hand. That kind of a problem. That kind of a
Yes,
solution. Sorry.
that doesn't really add up. So I feel the whole like okay, the best way to put it is which I've actually told a number of people. Like you've heard the story of Sisyphus, right?
Yeah,
Have you?
I have heard.
Yeah. So yes, so that is it. Like I used to read a little bit of Albert Camus.
I have the myth of
Okay,
Sisyphus here.
wonderful. Like
Yeah.
so you see how it is. Like is it really about when they're saying that life is full of misery and you're saying I'll end my life? Is that a solution? Like okay, maybe the other person you were talking about, he was talking about not letting another life come. Right. What about your life? You feel that your life is has nothing, no meaning, or it's all bullshit, it's all suffering, it's all pain and misery. So do you just end it? Like, or what comes when do you have that call to say, okay, now really dude, it's cool. I might as well die than living like this. That line for me somewhere is like, somewhere very far away. You can sustain yourself, you can provide for yourself and for somebody else. Then you're telling all these things doesn't make any sense. You're saying you're giving up on life, right? You're saying, okay, it's too overpowering. I might as well just be a vegetable and let death come upon me and finish this whole thing up.
Or suicide.
I think, or suicide, exactly. You're taking that step, that radical step, saying, no, suicide for me comes to not even see nihilists will not want to die. Suicide is a somewhere where like a physical suicide, if I were to consider, it would be somewhere where the person is unable to face you know the sorrow of life, the problems in life. He's like, okay, this is too overpowering for me to continue living. I will give into it. He's not able to revolt. He's not able to say, fuck, okay, some shit is happening. Fine, let me find a way. There is beauty in that. Like, as the whole Sisyphus' rock is falling, and he's standing on top of the mountain and thinking, oh shit, I have to do this again. That like Camus tells the ending. He might somewhere find joy that, okay, I'm going back to my routine life and doing this thing. That guy who's hanging in the railway station, that cramped thing, he's still finding some joy fitting in so perfectly and not having to move, and like I'm going and thinking about his life, how it's happening, what's going on. Yeah, there is joy in living, man. I don't see joy in death.
Yeah, and we don't know where we will go after we die. Nobody knows.
Yes,
Even the people who have experienced near death don't entirely know.
experiences.
Yeah, because near death is
Yeah,
not death. Near death is
they're
actually,
just as clueless as us.
yeah, exactly.
Frankly,
So
they're nowhere
so
near the answer than us.
so a lot of these anti-natalists and nihilists put forward this idea that not existing is blissful. You don't know that for sure.
Oh yeah, the only
Yeah.
thing we know for sure is existence. They are how different are they from a religion that says, okay, there is another side, go there, you'll be happy. What's the
Mm.
difference? I don't see the difference now. You're just saying there's nothing there and there's nothing here. So wait for that only to come. That
Mm.
nothing is better than this nothing. What? Oh, this is something. Right. This is not nothing.
And this something is this existence that we're experiencing is to a certain
Mm.
extent very subjective, or at least our perspective of it, the way we perceive existence is subjective, and that's a superpower. If we want to perceive life in a happy, in a positive, not in a positive way, but in a peaceful way, we can do that. Okay, you can be stuck in a traffic jam and you can still find some joy in life. That's something.
Definitely.
uh,
That people have forgotten or they don't know that they can do somewhere. Right? Knowing that they see now you have people who are in the best of lifestyles. They're still crying. I don't understand the sorrow sometimes. Like, okay, it might be too harsh to say, like, okay, there is a beggar on the street who's not having anything. He's more happy than a person who's, you know, a CEO of a company. But that is the basic truth of it right now. That's what's happening, right? People are not finding joy in like living in the present. They're always either thinking of the future, like past or the future. They're on either side. They're never now and thinking about this moment, being like somewhere. Okay, shit happens, dude. For whom does shit not happen? Nobody has a perfect life. I don't think so. I do not. Even if someone comes to me and tells me, bro, I have the most perfect life, there is nothing, no sorrow. There's only positive emotions in my life. I'd be like, okay, that's a very sad life, dude. You're not experiencing life then in that case. Because there's no joy without sorrow. Right? It's like I would ask someone, how would you experience joy without knowing what is sorrow?
Mm.
Can you really know?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and also the one of the reasons why the beggar is so happy is because he's ignorant. So is ignorant bliss.
Yes, ignorance is bliss. What will you do knowing, that there is no point in everything and crying about it, whining about it, and saying, "Oh, there's nothing there, there's nothing here." That's what we are doing right now, right? We are not finding. Uh, we know that is the problem for us.
Mm.
If we have not known, it would be so peaceful. Maybe, or I don't know. Have you
Yeah.
watched that movie Sausage Party?
No, I've not
There's a
seen.
movie called South. Oh, you definitely have to watch it. It's an animated movie.
Mm.
So it's about these vegetables. Okay,
Mm.
so they think that they're this not vegetables. Sorry, it's about this supermarket and all the things in the supermarket. They have life, and they think that the person who comes out the inside the supermarket and buys them and goes, they give them a sense of completion, right?
Mm.
Fulfillment. They are going to the other side. They are going to.
Mm.
Okay, and then there is some person, one who comes, who is taken there and who's returned
Mm.
a product that goes out, and the person comes and keeps him back in the supermarket. So he's like, I've seen the other side. It's not what you think like. Because they'll be thinking like everyone's like feel happy, all the vegetables get washed, the bread and all is kept in a very nice place, in a high, like they're finally getting satisfaction and things like that.
Mm.
And then they're like, these things, there's the main character who finds this out, and who tells everybody, and then they find out that yes, that is the truth. And in the end of the movie, you know what they do? They just have sex. That's it. Different
What?
things having sex with each other. Yeah,
Why?
that's it.
Like,
Because they're like, there's no point in life. That's what their ending to it was. But yeah, at least the whole realization, that's where it went. The whole
wow.
realization of there is no afterlife, this is the life. They're like, we might as well, the whole hedonistic lifestyle they wanted to portray.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Only pleasure, right? So that is what they're trying to portray. But I'm like, okay, even that makes much more sense than at least saying that there is nothing there and not wanting to live here.
Mm.
It makes
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense to me in certain ways that even if you're trying to live a hedonistic lifestyle, also
Mm.
you're experiencing pleasure.
Mm.
Only thing is, your pleasure should not come from somebody else's sorrow
Mm.
or giving them that pain.
Mm. Unless they enjoy
Give
it.
that person exactly. Give that person the pain who's like, I enjoy being sorrowful. Make me feel miserable. And
Mm.
like, yeah, I found the perfect person.
Yeah.
This gives me pleasure, like making me feel miserable. And he's like, yes, I make me feel miserable. That is what I want in life, and I'm feeling happy about it. Somewhere deep down, he has that. That's his guilty pleasure.
Mm. Yeah,
That's your
and
jigsaw there.
yeah, that's your jigsaw. That's your fetish or whatever. And people term this as taboos. You shouldn't think about it like this. But a
Yeah.
lot of people like to be miserable. A lot of people enjoy being punished.
Yes. And a lot of people have, like, now, as we said, now the whole negativity in life,
Mm.
right? Now, I would consider that negativity. But what if he enjoys, there is a person who enjoys always whining about his life,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
He's saying he's not really, one second. I don't know if okay.
Okay.
Enjoys just whining about life. You
Mm.
give him, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, a person whose satisfaction comes from being dissatisfied
Mm.
with life, and he doesn't want to do anything about it, right? He's like, if you were to meet him and tell him, bro, I'll solve all your problems, you tell me, he'll be like, okay, no, bro, please don't do that. Then I don't know what I have to live for. These problems
Mm.
are everything I hold on to. Like, these make me. Then would
Yeah.
you want to solve his problems?
Yeah. So
Like, no,
there's
let
this, yeah, there's this guy called Slavoj Žižek. He's a communist philosopher. He's still alive. Okay, he's from
yeah, I
Slovenia.
heard of him.
Yeah,
Yes,
very
yes.
very offensive guy. Cracks a lot of rape jokes and stuff like that. Okay, so he
Yes.
says, so you're a man and you're very dissatisfied with your life. You're frustrated. You have a boring government job. You're married to this woman, but you're constantly cheating with the secretary. And your ideal life in your mind is you would divorce your wife and you would marry the secretary. Keep holding on to that dream. Is what he says, because if that dream becomes a reality, and if you actually divorce your wife and if you marry that secretary, your life will become miserable. You will hate the secretary. So it's good to be an insufferable person sometimes.
Yes, because here in that example, that whole person's idea was to not have a wife. It was
Mm,
to have a secretary who he could mm,
mm.
behave like with his wife, or at least satisfy whatever mental and physical needs that he has. The moment he marries the secretary becomes his wife.
Yeah.
He will need another secretary.
Uh, that's why to a certain extent people desire authoritarian governments, because when there are too many meaningless laws and rules, uh, they suffer and they get turned on from the suffering. For example,
Mhm.
kids get a kick out of smoking weed when it was illegal. When it becomes legal,
Yeah.
it's not cool anymore. Okay, and just like this guy, he's having he's sleeping with this secretary. Why? Because it's a taboo. But if it becomes more
It's a fantasy
accepting,
that is satisfied.
yeah, if
Mhm.
it's more accepting, a lot of people do weird things. Like, for example, here in to use a very vulgar phrase, here in Mangalore they say, people go and make love in the balle, in the bushes. Why do some
Yeah.
people think that's great? Because you can get caught. Oh, that itself turns them on,
But
not
then
the
in their mind,
actual.
it's like, oh, yeah, it's not totally about the act in itself.
Yeah.
It's about how, where, and when they're doing it, right? So that is what gives them that orgasm is that, not even the whole
So
part where
so
it should.
this is why people vote Modi, because they're like, govern me harder, daddy. They have that.
There are all these
Like,
sugar daddy
yeah,
boys, like, they're
they
not even
want,
getting anything,
yeah,
they're only getting paid.
yeah, they want
They're
that
the
56
submissive
inch
people.
chest. They want that 56-inch chest on them. They get cut.
They
I
like
think,
getting,
yeah,
yeah. Totally see that. Like, that's what they're having right now. They're getting that sense of domination.
mm,
Someone is making me suffer, make me suffer more.
yeah,
The previous government is not doing this in the right
yeah.
way.
They look at,
Somebody else is not
yeah,
doing it.
Rahul Gandhi is more like a beta male. Nah, can't satisfy
Yeah,
me
so like,
just enough. Like chocolate boy.
yeah,
Like this guy is more like aggressive.
yeah, like, he's gonna dominate me and things like that. So yeah, that is where they're getting the satisfaction from. But that's the question there again. Should it be this kind of satisfaction that they require? They should get
Mm.
it personally,
They're
right?
they're not getting it there. They're being deprived there. That's why they want entertainment here.
Yes, so that's what they get it somewhere in a smaller circle. Then they will stop asking it from the government, and they will start asking the government the right questions. Like, okay, dude, where's the street lights in front of my house? It's not working. Where's my cooperator? They'll not even go to Modi because they shouldn't, right? Technically, they shouldn't be asking him what they need. The governance satisfaction should be coming from the cooperator or the person who can actually make a change for his street. So yeah, we are somewhere that whole pleasure thing is ruining it for us everywhere.
Yeah, we are deprived in one place, so we are finding it in some other place where we shouldn't be finding
Yes,
it.
should not be actually looking for it also.
Yeah, and see, people in this country don't want the basic things. You, there's this guy. Again, I'm doing a lot of references. There's this guy called Manu Joseph. Okay, he makes fun of the Indian middle class. He makes very good points also. You say that like when cell phones and internet were given to these poor people, to coolies, and Mark Zuckerberg had come to India because they wanted to give internet to the farmers so that they can go to government websites and learn about agriculture. That's not what poor people did. The first thing that poor people did was they searched for porn, and they searched for TikTok videos and all that. That's what they're more interested in. They are not interested in boring agricultural websites. We don't. Most of the Indians, we don't want. I feel like we don't even want good roads. We just want entertainment, unending entertainment.
See, here I would say is like these people who you're talking about, they already have a proper job. They have a set lifestyle, right? They have so many n number of problems in their life, which is for them, which is a huge thing to overcome. Even getting wages daily, or let's not say even that person, let's say a middle class guy, he has to go to his 9 to 5 job, he has to satisfy so many things in his family, so many things for his family, for himself, and things like that. These things are just an escape for him. These TikTok videos or the whole watching porn, it's just an escape, right? Where you're saying like, okay, I don't want to face reality all the time. It is too real. I want to escape somewhere. A lot of people don't even do that, right? They're more detached from reality than being in reality and contributing to society in some ways. That is why these other people are being forced into doing more. If that other person, like, it's like saying, now, why is the manager sometimes chilling around, or why are few employees in your in the office chilling? It's because maybe someone else is being worked harder for that, right? They're not dividing or distributing your work equally. So someone else is getting pressurized because of that, and he has to relieve that pressure somehow.
So
It
he'll
is
go
all these
home and
things.
relieve that pressure on his wife and his kids by getting angry on them and stuff like that.
Maybe that, maybe just sitting now. See, this whole TikTok thing or having a phone, right? Where you're telling that should he again go home and see how he can make his life better? You think that's what he should do with just because he's got the means to do that? I don't think that makes sense for him, right? It's like, dude, if first give me some space where I can maybe sit with my own, listen to my own voice in my head, then I can literally, listen to what it tells me to do, right? How to relieve, or even to know that I have some pressure that is this. Most of the people don't even identify what the pressure points are, the pain points are there in their life, right? They don't understand where the problem is coming from. Again, going back to that whining man, he whines because he doesn't know where the problem lies, right, and he knows that even satisfying that problem may not give him that it will give him new problems anyhow.
Mm.
So he's like, I'm happy with these problems. I don't want bigger problems. He knows that somewhere going, climbing up the ladder or somewhere going somewhere else, he has much more difficult problems.
Mm.
The person who's working in a government job, for example, right? He has the best job, right?
Mm.
Don't you think? What problem does
Mm.
he have in life?
He doesn't have
Practically
much
speaking.
problems. I mean, yeah, he's happy. I mean,
So,
he's happy with the problems that exist right now, but he pretend like subconsciously he knows these problems are great, but at a very top level he has to still, it's existence is a play. In Hindu mythology they say this is a leela. We are all one consciousness, but this is consciousness pretending to be Pratham and consciousness pretending to be Remo, and
hmm,
we all have these problems which we take seriously, because this is for 70 years or 80 years in our lifetime. We have to take
hmm.
these problems seriously to a certain extent. Take that frustration itself gives meaning to our lives.
Correct. So that is what it is. So for when you say that a middle class person is always suffering or you always have problems, that problem somewhere defines him. You solving that problem will not end his problems because the problem isn't governance, the problem isn't administration, the problem isn't his wife, his trauma that he had or this or that. The problem is existence. He's alive. He will have to have issues. He will have n number of issues. So many of the issues that even we are talking about, what are
Yeah.
we actually doing about them? We're not doing anything about them.
Mm.
We're talking about them. And that talking is somewhere giving us satisfaction.
Mm. So,
Right.
when this conversation began, we were talking about decentralization and stuff like that. Now, all of that
Mhm.
seems meaningless, because why should we solve the problem of governance? Imagine India actually gets decentralized. Who knows what problems you and I will have after that?
Hmm. Correct. So again, going back to the existential now, the
Mm.
crisis of being is existentialism, right? You're saying that I exist, that's why problems arise. But are we saying that I just want to whine about it and not do anything about it? My satisfaction comes from the whining? No, my
Mm.
satisfaction does not come from the whining. My satisfaction comes from finding solutions, right?
Mm.
The whole tackling every problem, whatever problem that is, knowing that this solution will create another problem. It's a never-ending find. That's what for me makes life exciting, right? It's like, okay, you have a problem, rather than me telling it to someone and telling, bro, I have this problem, government shit, this, that is bullshit and all that. Okay, how are we trying to, now this discourse is happening to say, where can we find solutions? Somewhere down the line, I too want to materialize this discourse and say, how am I implying that, or applying that in my life? And then making some change. I'm not saying that change is absolute.
Mm.
See, I think we spoke about somewhere about revolution, right? Last
Mm.
time we met, like I was very for revolutions.
Mm.
Like people should revolt.
Mm.
And then I was like, okay, I might want to create a group of people who are revolting against something.
Mm.
And then I'm also very sure that after a point, I will revolt against that group in itself.
Mm.
Now, that revolt was my solution, right? But that again, I know it will become a problem to me somewhere.
Yeah.
But should I say,
So I
sorry?
think we should never desire permanent solutions. We should only desire temporary solutions, because temporary solutions are easier to access. Now, in your example of revolution, after your
Hmm,
revolution happens, you create a solution for yourself. Like, you and a couple of other people come together and create a community for yourself. And that
correct.
community may be peaceful for 50 years. Who cares? Even that is also great. Like, after you die, what will happen? It's not in your hand. There is no such thing called permanent solution.
Correct. So, like long back, I think this guy Epicurus, one Greek philosopher, he tried this. He tried to have a community where, they were sort of self-sufficient. The whole Orwell kind of thing, but way back. So that time there is a whole. So many of the modern day problems did not exist. So technically, it should have been easier to create a community and even to live off of each other, right? He had the whole system of where they would grow things together, share things, the whole barter system of. finance and things like that. And he was successful because he was not only looking at one aspect of things. He was not just a philosophical kind of guy who's talking about ideals and models of life. He's also practically telling how are we going to solve problems, how are we going to live with each other. And as you said, after he went also, it was not just a whole community. It was a school kind of a thing where you're also learning, where you're also growing and things like that. But that too did not get, it was not able to sustain itself for a long time. After I think a couple of generations, that too broke off because society keeps evolving. Our idea or a definition of society over time always changes. That is the whole point, though, right? That doesn't mean that just because it will change, I will not do something today. It's like saying I'll be stagnant, let everything go around, function around me, but I will not react to it. That's
Okay.
what a person who's nihilistic is also saying. No, I do not want to react to society. I know there is no meaning in being in itself. So I will just wait for this being to go finish life to leave my body. And
Mm,
I don't see how that makes sense.
No, there is this meme. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's this famous meme that is going on right now. There are two guys in the bus. Okay, one guy
Mm-hmm.
is sitting on the left side, one guy is sitting on the right side. So the left guy gets to see the sky and all that. The guy sitting on the right side looks at the wall. So they both are sitting in the same bus, but one guy has
Mm-hmm.
a positive outlook, one guy has a negative outlook, and these people they add text in that meme. So in that
Mm-hmm.
same bus, right, both of them realize that life is meaningless, and it's better not to react too much. The guy who's looking at the
Mm-hmm.
wall becomes a nihilist. The guy who's looking outside will become a stoic, because even the stoic is also in many ways like a nihilist. Even he is
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, let me not take too much tension, let me just be innocent,
Mm-hmm.
let me just relax and all that. But he's not looking at it in a negative way. He's like, me not reacting itself is a positive thing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to live tension free. Why should I care about anything? That's actually a good thing, right?
Is it? To a
Yeah.
certain extent, definitely. Not reacting to everything. See, again, I would go back to saying balance. Now, I cannot call myself, remember last time we were talking about anarchist or
Hmm.
a existentialist or a stoic
Ist,
or a
yeah.
nihilist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ist
Or an
isms basically.
absurdist.
Yeah.
All, yeah. I cannot tell that I am this or that.
Mm.
It is everything situational. At different points of my
Mm.
life, I have to be different people. I cannot say the whole change, me not accepting change is impossible. That in itself creates the problem. Looking at how society is right now, if I were to say I do not accept change and what I was taught is man, woman, that's it, end of story. If I was so firm about that, right now my existence would have been a problem.
Mm.
And why? Just because society is changing and saying, no, now it's not only man, woman. Now there is a whole community of people who are like, different sexualities. It's not just gender is not two things. So where is the problem coming? The problem is not the change. The problem is the person who's saying, I am so firm to change. Right? A stoic also, Stoicism was considered one of the best lifestyles, like not lifestyle, one of the best philosophical thoughts like of the schools. But even that had problems. The problem is that you cannot always be that. For every situation, if you're like, I will not react, I will just be peaceful in myself. You're again not. That's not capitalist, right? You're not growing. You're not competing with anything. You're saying like, oh no, competition. Because I will lose competition, it will give me sorrow. So I will play without competition. It will only be friendly matches.
Yeah. So I see, sometimes there is a need to be angry. Sometimes there is a need to be sad. Sometimes you have to cry. Sometimes you have to laugh. But right now, society has become too overreactive. We worry about some small issue happening in some part of the globe. We worry a little too much. We become too overreactive. The reason why suddenly stoicism is trending in the past decade, so many stoicism
Mm,
pages, so many stoic videos is increasing, is because suddenly young people are realizing, okay, we are addicted to social media, we are addicted to dopamine, we are overreacting,
mm,
and stoicism for them feels like a balance. It is impossible to be as stoic as Greek philosophers, but if we can
yeah.
learn from them, and if we can apply some of that from the modern context, then I think
No, no,
it's
that's what.
better, right?
As you said, now that means, according to what you said, society is tipping to overreaction.
Mm.
reaction what does not really give you an end product,
Mm.
right? What are you really doing? Now, giving a reaction should have some meaning come out of it, like some change or something should happen out of that reaction.
Mhm.
Now, what we are, our end product is a reaction,
Mm.
right? We're just saying, I reacted to this. That's it. Oh, this is happening. Oh, I'm feeling so bad about it. Like, okay, fine. Stoicism here is necessary now. So
Mm.
that's saying that get back your hyper reactivity, hypersensitivity, and know what to react. You have to react to things that are in your immediate vicinity, some things that you can make a change about. It's not only about giving a reaction. So many people are held, and asked like, why are you not giving a reaction? Are you not human? Do you not feel anything? And they are forced into giving a reaction, right? Social media is doing that to
Yeah.
people. Yeah, they're like, oh, do you not? Are you not human? Do you not have emotions? You're not reacting to something that bad happened in North Korea. They are troubling their people like that. You don't have a reaction. Dude, I don't give a reaction that Kim Jong will not stop automatically. Like you're not going to be like, oh, Remo gave a reaction. I think I should stop doing what I'm doing. Like no, that's not going to happen. So I don't see the point of that reaction. So there, what you said, it's a sure, it holds a lot of ground because losing the balance then again the people are tipping towards somewhere where they are again giving themselves a major distraction and a major cause for sorrow.
Mm.
They are being unhappy because somewhere miles away is unhappy.
Mm.
Yes, so
So
stoicism is somewhere necessary.
yeah, dude. So we're reaching the final leg, I think, of the podcast. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you want in life, what you've done so far.
Ah, okay, that is a very nice question. What I do, I right now I'm an editor for a digital marketing company. So I create content as well. I uh, edit content as well. What I would want to do with life, oof, I would want to experience life. That is it. That is my major thing. That I what I want from life is the whole experiences, memories. I will always believe in creating an atmosphere that uh, you know the community idea of it. My whole point in life right now is that it has basically been that for some time. But I too am somewhere not sure how to achieve it. Like it is about getting like-minded people, but that is still difficult, right? You cannot have like-minded people. The idea of
Jigsaws.
like-minded, yes, it's so that's what like-minded people cannot happen. I realize that it's not about having like-minded people. It's about having people who fit into your puzzle in different angles and shapes and different ways, right? So that I am somewhere trying to find. It is materializing in certain ways. But capitalism is somewhere coming in the way. Hardcore capitalism, the whole distraction, like the distraction of capitalism, I would say,
Mm.
right? The whole community which is racing to somewhere and they don't know where that is.
Mm.
Everyone's in a rat race. So what's the idea of a rat race? I don't understand that, right? So for me, it is somewhere about breaking that for people and making them see, okay, there is more than just a rat race, right? So I do counseling sessions as well for people to get their whole that tangle in their mind to unwind it somewhere and to focus on things that is a little better than what they might be looking at life as. Everyone has an idea of life. I wouldn't say anything is right, anything is wrong, right? Everything is your perspective. But sometimes when your perspective becomes extremist, right? Any perspective becomes extremist, it can be harmful to you or to society, like your immediate near ones. So to create a society where, or to create people who do not have extremist ideas, liberal ideas, that they can question their own ideas as well, not get their egos hurt, or not always want their egos to be stroked, right? That is the whole idea, right?
Okay. So you kind of want to start your own community, like a physical space away from
Physical
this
space.
this whole excessive hype capitalism where people are racing towards
Mhm.
something, but rat races unfortunately don't have a destination. They just keep on running and
Correct, it
they
is.
end up
It's
nowhere,
true.
or they
Yeah.
go in that circle thing, those like those guinea pigs. So yeah, like you said, you don't have an exact idea. You This is your desire to
Hmm.
start a
So the
community.
desire basically, or the community, or the idea of the community is also to somewhere attain uh, fulfillment, the idea of
Mm,
fulfillment, right? So you never know what is fulfillment to you. For every person, it is different. But should a person stop trying to be a better version of themselves? They always can. That is the whole idea, to try to do better at things that they are somewhere, okay, this is it, that's all that I want, right? Do better in terms, not in personal terms, maybe. Like, somebody might be satisfied with what they have done as a skill that they have learned, or the money that they're earning. It might be like, yeah, it's enough for me. But as a whole, that whole conscious that you told, I do believe that we are somewhere apart. Our conscious is not so different, right? It's somewhere a universal conscious, maybe. I too am not sure of that, I'm not sure if it is or not. But I somewhere have experienced that people are not very different from each other.
mm,
We are somewhere in the mind the same. Like the roots, if you take all these desires and these all these other things that are there, that is an expression of certain things, right? A root conscious. In the root conscious, we are somewhere similar. So if we can realize that, talking to people, that I'm just trying to see if that happens, but that's a slow process, right? Talking to
mm,
people does not really bring change to such an extent. And seeing how I can manifest that, yeah,
mm. Yeah, man.
bring that unity in the conscious.
Do you have any future plans?
Future plans. Right now, yeah, there are certain plans. I do believe that psychology is one very good way that can help people realize or break certain ideas and notions of themselves.
Mm,
Uh, so that is the road that I'm looking at. But nothing is sure as of yet. I will let you know when something
yeah.
does materialize. You'll be
Okay.
the first one to know.
Yeah, keep me in the loop, and thank you for coming on the Labyrinth. This was a great conversation.
Wonderful indeed, as always.